Thank you, Jim and Karen. That was actually beautiful. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Judson Memorial Baptist Church. My name is Travis Norville, the pastor of this wonderful congregation. We have a day that, the day we have planned today, we're really just trying to catch our breath on everything that's kind of happened to this community and the Twin Cities and to Minnesota over the past 80-plus days. Just to pause for a second and take in everything that's happened. So in the back, you will see 6 tables of cards that have been sent to us from around the nation, prayers and cards and letters of support. We had 4 tables set up, and then we looked in the mail, and there were enough cards for 2 more tables right before about 9:15. We set up another couple of tables. There's stickers. Please make sure you get one of these stickers. They say, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. These were sent from churches in North Carolina that were there, who also experienced ice activity in Charlotte, and this was one of their responses, was the stickers. So they're water bottle stickers, but you can put them anywhere. But if you do have a water bottle, they look nice on them. For that, so things are going to happen. We're going to dedicate the lamp here in just a little bit, and I see Marsha Bailey's online. So some members of First Baptist Church Pottstown, this is where this lamp was from, are watching us this morning. So if everybody can say good morning, First Baptist Pottstown. Morning. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and we'll say thank you for that in just a little bit. We have some music that has been celebrated in the kind of the Songs of Resistance. You're going to learn hymns that have been written, the beautiful choral piece that was written for all of this. The things that are going on. And do you all even realize that it's the first Sunday in Lent? In the midst of all of this, how did that happen? But here we are for this. So here we are, gathered. And may we just accept this grace and gifts that we have this morning and see where this worship service takes us. All right, with that, I'll invite Austin and Susan.
Morning, everyone. To bless this lamp that was given to us by First Baptist Church in Pottstown, I'm going to read a letter that they sent us with the lamp, and then Susan will lead us in a blessing altogether. The letter says, our congregation, First Baptist Church, Pottstown, PA, a sister AWAB church, has been watching the events in Minneapolis closely with broken hearts, care, and concern for you and your congregation. I write to tell you that we have sent to your congregation an oil lamp from the Wolford Glassblowing Company. We have one in our worship space that we light each time we gather for worship. It reminds us of the light of God's presence in our midst and our call to be light to the world. We are sending you and your neighbor congregation, University Baptist, this same candle as a light of hope in these dark times, and as a reminder that your light as a congregation is seen and felt. It also comes with the prayer that God's light will continue to fill you all with hopeful power, compassionate presence, and God's peace. We pledge to continue to lift Judson Memorial in our prayers, along with the people of Minneapolis in these important days. May your witness to the light among us continue to burn bright with God's justice and love. On behalf of First Baptist, Marsha Bailey, pastor, and Laura Alden, moderator.
All right, and we are going to bless the lamp. I will read the one, and then you are the all in gold. As the grateful congregation of Judson Memorial Baptist, Minneapolis, Minnesota, we will treasure the gift of light from the First Baptist Church, Pottstown, Pennsylvania. May this lamp serve as a beacon of hope in these dark times, a gentle reminder that our light as a congregation needs to be seen and felt by many. May God's light continue to fill us with hopeful power, compassionate presence, and abiding peace. May the light continue to burn bright with God's justice and love. May it be so.
All right, and for our opening song, we're going to do two songs in the service today from the Singing Resistance. This is a group that many of you may know. The Singing Resistance started right after the ICE presence really intensified here in December. Some organizers in the Twin Cities got a bunch of singers together, growing out of the community singing groups that were in town, and they've been doing these big actions that have just been growing remarkably. So from a couple hundred people the first weekend, the first action they called, which was singing through, walking through a neighborhood, singing to neighbors that were trapped inside, just to let them know that they were still cared for, to thousands of people at subsequent events, and they've been singing in churches all over. And just last night, Brandi Carlile played at the Target Center for 12,000 and streamed to millions, and brought the Singing Resistance organizers, the main leaders, up on stage for the encore. So the reach has been great. So we're going to do two songs. The first one we're going to do "Hold On," which was kind of the first song that went, that really kind of sparked the movement, and then we'll sing another one a little later in the service. So the community singing model is that we just kind of teach the song one line at a time through, and then once we get it, we'll start to sing it, and they're just short songs that you just repeat multiple times singing together. And this one does have a harmony part, so after we learn the melody, we'll teach that quickly, and then we'll go from there.
Can you sing at that mic that you're at right now and just get around it? Sure.
Well, I'll just sing from here, and then they're gonna lead everybody else. So everybody's going to lead with us. It won't need to be mic. I'll sing from here to lead it, and then we'll all sing together. It'll be fine. All right. So this song is "Hold On." And the second part, "Hold on." The last part is a little longer, so I'll sing the full phrase. My dear ones, here comes the dawn. My dear ones, here comes the dawn. Let's do that all through, starting with "Hold On." All right, so we're going to sing that. You can just keep singing that melody. That's fine. There is a simple harmony part. So that comes, that note of comes at the end, you can just drone that for most of the song for a simple harmony. So it just goes, hold, sorry, comes, hold on, hold on, my dear ones. This is different. Here comes the dawn. Hold on. Hold on. My dear ones, here comes the dawn. All right, so that's, if you want to sing that in harmony, that's fine. Some of us will split off and start singing that. We'll sing the melody the first time through, and then keep singing the melody, sing that. We'll sing it just a couple of times as a
You can join the drone part if you'd like. Jason and Austin are going to be singing that.
All right, so we'll start with the melody all together. Ready? Hold on. Hold on.
Could I ask the children to join for me at this time? I know, you get a chance. This is the first chance. Yeah, when was the? I know, yeah. Okay. All right, that works. Well, it's the, I feel like it's the Von Trapp family, right? It's the Masons, yes, up here. So yeah, that's okay. That's great. Good to see you all. How you doing? Yeah, good. Hey, so when you all, the quick story. When you all, or quick question. When you all are eating dinner, do you watch the news by chance? No. Okay, yeah. So, when I was growing up, I don't wish my childhood on you, but there were some good things about it, nevertheless. And one of the things we did at the supper table, when we had dinner every night, we would watch the news. And we'd watch the news, and we'd eat our dinner slowly, and then we would argue back with the broadcast. So sometimes you would yell at it, like, what are you talking about? Or, or can you believe that? That kind of stuff. So I'm sure that you have conversations like that at your house over things? Sure, right? Yeah, sometimes. Susan, does that happen? It's not about high-level intellectual stuff. Yeah, but it happens, right? Yeah. It was just part of my vocabulary growing up. And one of the things we talked about politics. We talked about politics at my house I can't remember a time when we didn't talk politics. And there was one person in particular that kind of got my family into a tizzy. Do you know what a tizzy is? Lord, how would we explain a tizzy? A fit. How would you explain a fit? Yeah, there's just a lot of energy. How about that? Just a lot of energy. A lot of high. All worked up. How about these things? Yeah. And that was Reverend Jesse Jackson. Now, Reverend Jackson just died this week. And so the undercurrent of the life that I lived was, racism was everywhere. It was the water you breathe, it was the water you drank, it was the air you breathed. But there was always this undercurrent of, is there a way out of it? And Jesse Jackson ran for president in 1984. I was 10 at the time. How old were you all in 1984? Womp womp. Yeah. So that was going on. And I remember him then, but it was when I was 14 when he ran in 1988, his campaign for president. I was actually 13 when he was running. That really changed things. So do you all know what a union hall is? So like unions, like labor unions, like the electricians union and the plumbers union and the teachers union and stuff like that. So we had my dad was a member of the bricklayers union. And I got to go to the union meetings as a kid because my mom was like, it was a break from my mom, right? For me, for her. And I would go to the union meeting, and me and J.D. Atkins would go to the pool table, and we would sit underneath the pool table. Now, we did that one thing because you could hide. No one would bother you. But also because it was so full of cigarette smoke, that was below the cigarette smoke level. So we would kind of sit there. I can tell you tales that would make a sailor blush, that would make people squirm in their seats, but I'm not going to tell you those now. But it was the time when Jesse Jackson, they were trying to figure out, would they endorse Jesse Jackson as a union? And the conversation was, how can we endorse a black man? That's what that was the undercurrent. And they kept asking, well, who has our back? And then they would start saying, who has our back? And they would start listing off all the things that they were looking for: health care, job protection, just going down the line. And they were like, who's the one candidate who stands for all of those things? And at the end of the night, they said, Jesse Jackson. And then they all said, we're voting for Jesse. It was an amazing time. Now, I remember Jesse Jackson not only from politics, but from Sesame Street. Did you all watch Sesame Street? I wish you could watch the Sesame Street that I watched in the 70s. It was a much better Sesame Street. Do you know that right now you have to go to Netflix to watch the new episodes of Sesame Street? That is terrible. That is terrible. And in the 1970s, it was wonderful. And Jesse Jackson came on to Sesame Street. Have you all watched this lately? This little episode when he came on? And he sat there, he looked wonderful, right? In the outfits that he had, the medallion that he had on. But he did this little kind of game with the kids. And it was, it came from the sanitation strike in Memphis when Dr. King was there. And the people had to hold up signs that said, "I am a man," or "I am somebody." And he wanted to teach this to the kids. And so he had them do like a little call and response. So let's do it this morning, all right? And this is, we'll change it up. What grade are you in? 4th. What grade are you in? 12th. What grade are you in? 9th. Okay, we can do that, yeah? All right, and I want you all to do it too, right? So you all repeat after me, right? I am somebody. I might be in 4th grade, but I am somebody. I may be in 10th grade, 9th grade. Come on, 9th grade. Okay, I may be in 9th grade, but I am somebody. I may be a senior, but I am somebody. I may talk funny, but I am somebody. I may walk slow, but I am somebody. I may be a Baptist, but I am somebody. I may be an atheist, but I am somebody. I may not like lutefisk, but I am somebody. I am God's child. I am somebody. May you receive a blessing from the faith community that loves you.
God be with you. And also with you.
There you go.
Good morning. I'm going to read a poem, The Low Road, by Marge Piercy, and I'd like to dedicate it to all the good people of Minneapolis and elsewhere who have helped their neighbors and stood up to ICE. What can they do to you? Whatever they want. They can set you up, they can bust you, they can break your fingers, they can burn your brain with electricity, blur you with drugs till you can't walk, can't remember. They can take your child, wall up your lover. They can do anything you can't stop them from doing. How can you stop them? Alone, you can fight, you can refuse, you can take what refuge you can, but they roll over you. But two people fighting, back to back, can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. Two people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, sex. Three people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With 4 people, you can play bridge and start an organization. With 6, you can rent a whole house, eat pie for dinner with no seconds, and hold a fundraising party. A dozen make a demonstration. 100 fill a hall. 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter. 10,000 power and your own paper. 100,000, your own media. 2 million, your own country. It goes on one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again when they said no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean. And each day you mean one more.
Yeah. about I walk you down? How about I walk you down?
All right, I'm going to read another poem. This one is called Sometimes I Forget How to Listen by Rosemary Watola Traumer. Because words can be rubber bullets, can be pepper spray, can be cuffs. Scared, my ears become rabbits that burrow and hide. Angry, my ears become stone gates that refuse to let anything in. It's so painful to hear the rhetoric of hate. Burns like tear gas, stuns and disorients like flashbang grenades. No part of me then can believe there is a sliver of divinity in you that I want or need to listen to. It is so hard to listen. What if we do not listen? I want to train my ears to hear beneath the invective, want to listen beneath the attack. What if I could hear the human in you and not only the weapons of your words? What if you could hear the human in me and find a piece of yourself? What if we left all our mouths at home and let only our ears gather in the streets? Would we hear then the sounds of each other's breath, proof of our mutual humanness? What peace might arrive for a moment if we listened, all of us miracles, softening into that generous silence, listening with the ears of our hearts as the cold wind swirls all around. All right. So thematically related to that, we're going to sing another Singing Resistance song. A couple of weeks ago, they did an action that was designed to encourage defections of ICE agents. So this is a resistance move that has been practiced many times, but specifically taking inspiration from the Serbian revolution against Slobodan Milosevic. The group Otpor did a bunch of actions like this where they would, after somebody was arrested, after big actions by the government forces, they would go, and the statement was basically, you may not join us today, but you can join us tomorrow. And that was just repeated for years and ended up at a turning point in the revolution. Many soldiers were ordered to fire on civilians, and they refused. They put down their weapons. And so that work led to that outcome. And so this Singing Resistance action was designed to walk around downtown Minneapolis, go to a couple of hotels that ICE agents were staying at, and just encourage them to kind of come on over, right? And not with the expectation that anyone would immediately come out of the building, but just to plant the seed that this is possible. So this song is called We Walk the Same Ground, and it's just kind of fairly simple, 4 parts. This one's actually a round, there's no harmonies, so we'll teach you the song, we'll sing it through a couple of times, and then Jason and Thea will keep going with that, and Susan and I will kind of split off and bring this side in slightly later for a round, right? So, yeah. So the song goes, I'll sing the first part, you repeat after me. We walk the same ground. We walk the same ground. But we've been torn apart. But we've been torn apart. But we've been torn apart. Put down your weapons. Put down your weapons. Put down your weapons. Come sing your part. Come sing your part. Come sing your part. So we're just going to repeat that through a couple of times. We walk the same ground. We walk the same ground. But we've been torn apart. But we've been torn apart. Put down your weapons. Put down your weapons. Come sing your part. Come sing your part. And then we do it a few times, but there's the first part, we've been torn apart, you just hold a little bit longer. So wait for us to cue you in there, that's the only tricky part. But we'll just do that a couple of times through, and then we'll split off into the round. Ready? We walk the same ground, but we've been torn apart. Put down your weapons, come sing your part. We walk the same ground, but we've been torn apart. Put down your weapons, come sing your part.
that I'm going to invite up. So John and Lynn and Seneca and Glenn, if you guys can come up, please, at this time. Forgot all this stuff. Oh, yeah, thanks, though, yeah. Tragedy averted, yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll start here. Yeah. Okay, so what I wanted to do was, with this, these are 4 panelists, right? You know Seneca and Glenn, maybe. Those are 2 of the Norval progeny, so happy for them. This is John Sagshaug, yeah, and Lynn Rabinovich. We also know them as the new John and Lynn, because we do have another couple of John and Lynn, and when I say John and Lynn, everybody looks at me, and I was like, no, the new John and Lynn. So, so here we go. So what oh, they were cleaning. They were here cleaning yesterday too. Yeah. So they're workers. They're workers, very much so. And I love Lynn. You don't have the purple this morning, or it's still there. A little bit. Liturgically, right? Purple for this week, for this season. Did anybody else dye their hair purple for Lent? Where's Joyce? Yeah. So okay, yeah. But what does resistance mean, right? We've seen the songs, we've sung them, we've had poetry. But what do people mean when they say resistance? And that's why I just want to have like a short little discussion, just to lift up some examples. This is not all-encompassing, but just a little bit. So can I start with the 2 of you? Is that okay? Did you want to say something first about green, or just?
It would be hard for me to be short, so I will say a little bit.
Okay. Well, how about you start off
All
with
right.
the mic? Yeah.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so my daughter teaches kindergarten at Green Central Community School, bilingual school, and she's been there for 5 years, and I go into the classroom and help out twice a week. So I know the kids really well, I know the staff. I feel like they've been at the heart of the ICE activity. They're a block away from where Renee Good was killed, and they're kind of a microcosm, I think, of ICE activity everywhere. It's simplistic to talk about good and evil, and I know everybody is somebody, but I just feel it there so much because outside the school, ICE agents have been lurking. The families of these students have been afraid to leave their homes. They don't grocery shop, they don't go to medical appointments, they don't drive their kids to school. And 3 in this class alone, in my daughter's class of once was 27, 3 had family members deported. And here's just a graphic. I don't know, John can hold this maybe. Yeah. I don't know how it got to the New York Times, but the little girl pictured there with the blue, she's in my daughter's class, and her mom had died fairly recently, and then her dad was deported. Actually, he was detained, not deported, and he's now back. So there's one heartbreaking story after another just in that classroom. But then there's the good, because the school is surrounded by people helping. There's protectors all around to watch for ICE agents. There's people every day taking kids to and from schools because the parents are afraid to drive them. The halls of the school are lined with boxes. You can just see this one hallway. All week long, people are there every day, loading food and also essential other supplies and activities based on the age of the kids. And then on Thursdays, a whole group of people, and we do this too, drive to these locations and drop off the food for families. And I think I already said driving kids to and from school. one of the things, and to medical appointments, one of the things that, I didn't want to talk too long, but the grace of the families is amazing. They are so grateful for everything. And you would never know from looking at them what they're going through because they have this, a sort of inner joy that I think we often lack. They're so grateful. And I just want to tell, I don't want to talk so long, but immigration court is horrible at its best because I used to be an observer there. But one of the families in Leah's class was going to be at court, and so I went to accompany them. And there again, you saw the good and the evil. The man has done nothing wrong, the dad, except that he didn't apply for asylum in time. You're supposed to apply within a year. So pretty much the judge said that he has no chance of anything. The only thing he can do is maybe self-deport, and there'll be another hearing in October. But walking out of that building, there were all these ICE agents in the building, masked, holding their guns, looking fierce. And then you walked outside, and again, there were a whole line of ICE agents. But right behind the fence, protesters singing and chanting. And then some volunteers had set up a whole table of warm hats, mittens, food, snacks to give to people. And there was an older man standing there, and it's really cold. It was a really cold day. An older man was standing there, I guess, all day to offer people rides home. So just the goodness of all that surrounding all the hard parts was really hard. That's all I want to say.
That's good. John, and you want to talk about, like, John was at the airport, at the sit-in, the pray-in, the kneel-in, yeah.
Right, that was the morning of January 23rd.
Yeah.
Right before the big march in downtown Minneapolis. It was 20 below.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an action, a protest at the airport in the morning. There were, hundreds of protesters marching in front of the airport, right in front of the departure area of the airport. A lot of clergy were there, hundreds of clergy, and I was there with a group called Faith in Minnesota, many other groups. And the presence was felt there. And as we marched, in a circular fashion, the march slid over into the departure, one of the departure lanes at the airport, purposely. And as it marched around, the police, these weren't ICE agents, they were sheriff's deputies, came and gave the first warning. You must move immediately out of this area. This is a public area, and you're blocking it. And on the third request, then they started arresting people. There were probably 100 people who chose to be arrested. I think 70 of them were clergy from all over the country. Travis, you know, you've met a lot of those people, and they were there with the express purpose of getting arrested. And I just wanted to read a few words, as I observed this, a few words that struck me with these people. As many of them knelt in prayer, they were on their knees, and I bet they were on their knees for over an hour, waiting to be taken away and arrested.
They had the little kneelers, like when
Yeah.
you're doing garden work.
They
Yeah.
did have foam pads to kneel on, I'll say that. But I would like to read some of my impressions. Focused, calm, respectful, compassionate, and repeating a word that Lynn mentioned, grace. They just had a sense of grace. And in terms of stories, I think stories like this are what we need. We need people making those sacrifices, and we need to talk about those people with people we know, our friends, with people outside of the Minneapolis area, in the nation, and all over the world. because it's these stories that are going to prevent something like this happening again. I'll stop there.
Yeah, that's great, yeah. Who wants to go first? Okay, so Seneca, can you talk about, some of you have talked commuting. You've heard that term as a verb. We're not talking about like going back and forth to work. A different kind of commuting to track ICE agents and ICE activity in the neighborhood. So Seneca, can you tell us what is it like to be a commuter?
Yeah, so I think I'll have you know I don't drive,
Yeah,
so
put that.
I'm what you would call a co-pilot. So I've been invited to a vetted chat on Signal, and I had to go through like a training on how to be a commuter on a encrypted Zoom call sort of thing. And then after that, I met with a person on a Signal call, and they were like, who are you? What's your connection to some groups? Where do you live? Okay, now you can be added to this chat. And after that point, I met a couple people in the chat who were looking for co-pilots because it's not safe to commute by yourself, because one person has to be on the call and monitoring the Signal chat, unmuting when we're like, oh, we see someone that looks like ICE, here's a plate, or something like that. So anyways, I didn't know the people that I commute with until I started commuting with them. And yeah, I don't know their names or their real names. I know their Signal handles. They don't know my name either. So that's part of all of the safety of it. And
What's it like?
What's it like?
Yeah.
So yeah, my commuter friend will pick me up from my house, and then we will drive around Minneapolis for like 3 to 4 hours, sometimes less, just like squeezing in time whenever we have overlapping schedules. And basically what will happen is there is a rapid response call on Signal, and it used to be hyperlocal for each neighborhood. Now it's just all in one for the south side of Minneapolis. So when I get in the car, we hop on the call, and there's probably, 20, 30 other commuters out there on the call. It used to be that you couldn't even get on the call. You'd just get bumped off because there were too many people. But now the number of commuters has greatly dropped. So then I'll get in the car, we hop on the call. The driver will have like the call on his phone, and so we'll be listening to it. I have on my phone pulled up the chat, and then I also have in the web browser 3 different tabs open of 3 different plate checkers, because it's no longer reliable to rely on just one. You have to have all 3 of them open now.
And you're checking to see if the license plates are registered to an ICE vehicle.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's gotten really, really difficult. In the beginning, it was so easy to tell when someone was ICE. It was a blacked out, tinted windows, an SUV, a new truck. Dodge Durangos were like, yep, that's ICE. And they were always wearing tactical gear. It was always men, 2 of them together. Now it's like, it could be a woman in a Canada Goose jacket driving a Subaru. And they were using rentals too. And so now we've been running into an issue of like, I check a plate, it says confirmed ICE. We go follow the person, it's actually our neighbor, and they're really pissed. So we have to talk to them and be like, I'm really sorry, you're renting a car that ICE used. We're gonna get this cleared for you, but like, let's be mad at ICE, not at us. So I don't know what else.
That's good. No, I just did an introduction.
Yeah.
And if you, one thing also is like, if you have questions, right, we can do this as we're all back there looking at cards and getting some coffee and stuff. All right, yeah. So Glenn, you live 2 blocks from where Alex Preddy was shot. Can you just like talk about what's it been like in the month since then? What's it been like for your day-to-day life? You got to hold that up really close, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just moved into the neighborhood in November. I had the great privilege to move out of my parents' house finally.
We thought it was a great privilege too.
So I haven't been in the neighborhood that long. I don't really honestly have a memory of what it was like before this, because there was still some activity going on in November and December, not as much as in January. But trying to figure out how to describe it. It's like you don't sleep normally anymore because they have helicopters that they'll just fly at like 11:30 at night to 3 in the morning just to keep you up. There's like they're not even registered. It's like you go on the flight radar and you check them, and it just doesn't show up because they're DHS, and their only goal is just to keep us up at night. It very much feels like you're under siege. There's, like Seneca said, they stopped being as obvious with like the ICE agents. There used to be these like big blacked out trucks and SUVs that would travel in convoys and just speed on the streets. They would go the wrong way down one-way streets because they're not familiar with the neighborhood at all, and they're trying to get away from us as fast as possible, that they're just breaking all these traffic laws. And we've seen that kind of that's really died down, which has been very nice. But now we're starting to see a lot of other federal agencies in the neighborhood. So last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, there were FBI agents, federal marshals, some other agency, I'm not really sure, Department of Natural Resources, and they're all just in the neighborhood, and they'll hang out in these cars similar to what ICE agents used to do. And you go up and approach them, and they're like, "Oh no, we're here for other federal tasks." But when you see them actually in action, they're still kidnapping our neighbors, and they're like, "Well, we're after the sex predators and the the bad people." And I'm like, "But isn't that what the other guys are saying?"
Yeah.
So there's really not much has changed, just the tactics and the way that they approach it. We started to see MPD has been really involved in the abductions. They won't take people, but they will restrict our access to issues. They oftentimes will interact with us and then play incredibly stupid. Like you'll talk to them about ICE, and they'll be like, "ICE is in the state? I didn't know they were here." And I'm like, okay, go back to the suburbs. Like, you don't live in Minneapolis. Yeah, they've been arresting. We haven't seen that as much, arresting observers by MPD or. Okay, not in
You
Whittier.
can't have like side conversations, right? Just
And we haven't seen that as much, but there has been like an uptick in violence against observers, specifically on Fridays. Because if they arrest you on Friday, they don't have to release you until Monday. So they can keep you over the weekend without process.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I just wanted to I just wanted to have you all four up here just to share a little bit, because when people hear resistance, they really don't know what that means. I'm not saying just everybody here, but just people are out. Like, what are we talking about when we're saying this? It's kind of these interactions from day to day. I invite you to talk with them after church, after worship, just a little bit. And I just want to thank you for your presence and your witness. We're all doing our part. It's not a contest. We all have parts to do. And it's just, this is what their part is, right? And this is our part. And we're all doing the things together. And we're just lifting each other up in prayer and in community. And this is what we're doing. And I just want to thank you for the work you're doing. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you say that.
Travis mentioned that Jesse Jackson died this week, but another civil rights icon also died by the name of Joanne Bland. If you listen to public radio this morning, you'll have heard that Joanne died. You probably don't know who Joanne is. She was one of the youngest participants of Bloody Sunday in Selma. She marched on the bridge on Bloody Sunday, and she died, I think, fairly recently. And what makes this significant, well, to us, but to Lynn and myself, is that we went on a civil rights trip to the South and visited Selma. And it's in Selma where Joanne Bland is a guide and brings people through the whole experience of what happened on Bloody Sunday. We actually met Joanne personally. But what she said and what she emphasized is the importance of telling the story In her case, the story of Bloody Sunday. In our case, the story of the surge. Because if we don't tell the story and repeat the story, it's going to happen again. So it's a huge responsibility for us. It's not over. It'll never be over. No. Thank you.
I'm reading a poem by Amanda Gorman written in memory of Alex Jeffrey Preddy. We wake with no words, just woe and wound. Our own country shooting us in the back is not just brutality, it's jarring betrayal. Not enforcement, but execution. A message: love your people and you will die. Yet our greatest threat isn't the outsiders among us, but those among us who never look within. Fear not those without papers, but those without conscience. Know that to carry intensely united is to carry both pain, dark horror for today, and a profound, daring hope for tomorrow. We can feel we have nothing to give and still beloved this world, waiting, trembling to change. If we cannot find the words, may we find the will. If we ever lose hope, may we never lose our humanity. The only undying thing is mercy. The courage to open ourselves like doors, hug our neighbors, and save one more bright, impossible life.
Amanda Gorman also wrote this poem about 2 weeks prior to that one. And this one is for Renee Nicole Good. They say she is no more, that there her absence roars, blood blown like a rose, ice wheels flinched and froze. Now bare riot of candles, dark fury of flowers, pure howling of hymns, if for us she arose. Somewhere in the pitched deep of our grief crouches our power. The howl where we begin straining on the crooked edge of the worst of what we've been. Change is only possible and all the greater when the labor and bitter anger of our neighbors is moved by the love and better angels of our nature. What they call death and void, we know is breath and voice. In the end, gorgeously endures our enormity. You could believe departed to be the dawn when the blank night has so long stood, but our bright fled angels will never be fully gone when they forever are so fiercely good.
I just want to draw your attention to the tables in the back. And when you have a chance today to go and look at those, you are going to find prayers from Washington, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Indiana, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Oregon, Canada, and Italy. And I just want you to soak up all those prayers that people have for you and for this city. I know we're into like overtime minutes, but it's not going to be extended overtime, right? We're not going to like to 3 sessions. I was watching, just right before we started service, I just checked in on a friend of mine up in Canada, and it showed what their worship service looked like. And so there's the pastor was preaching, but then on the side was the giant screen there watching the game yeah. Well, Matthew 4, verses 1 to 11. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. Now notice that it's after that is when he is tempted. Then the tempter came to him and said, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But Jesus answered, "Is it written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God?" Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. For it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him again, "It is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to him, "All of these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me." And Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then the devil left him, and suddenly angels came and waited on him. May we pray. Loving God, be with us in this moment. Amen. Well, this is more of a meditation, which is shorter than a sermon, which is shorter than a homily. So bear with me for a second. So for Lent, we're just going to look at the 3 temptations of Jesus, and plus 2 more, right? So when Jesus is in the garden and when Jesus is on the cross. Those are the 5 for Lent, 5 Sundays of Lent. This morning I want to reverse, we're not going by order, but I just want to think about what does it mean to tempt God? Because I think all of us have been doing that. And if anything this experience has given us is this capacity to say goodbye to a former idea of what God was and what God was requiring of us. Last year, if you remember, in your Lenten memories, we said we were giving up bad religion for Lent. This year, I would like for us to give up the God of liberal Protestantism. Say goodbye to it. Because here's what liberal Protestantism did to us. It gave us this idea of tempting God. So imagine, if you will, a castle. Imagine a deep moat around the castle. And then imagine this walls, these stone thick walls, and these iron, gates with heavy locks, and then wooden doors behind them, and trap doors and secret rooms, and all these places that would keep you safe from any kind of siege or any kind of attack, with a granary that was big enough to store a year's worth of food and all the things that you would need to survive. That is what liberal Protestantism gave us. And it said, as long as you live within this box, you will succeed. But what has our castle been? It's been white skin. It's been middle class. It's been Christian. It's been a citizen of this nation. It's been a job. It's been education. It's even been a community. All of those pretenses created in us a false sense of safety, that we could tempt God. We are on that pinnacle, and the voice says, throw yourself down, for certainly the color of your skin, the education you obtained, the size of your 401k, the people that you call your friends, the neighborhood you live in, the way that you speak, the way that you interact in this world, surely that will save you. But that didn't save Renee Good. Didn't save Alex Preddy. And everyone will say, but there's a drawdown now. There's only 500 agents here. That's still 200 more than Operation Midway Blitz was in Chicago. We still have 3 more years of this administration. Plus, who knows what the future holds after that. So to think that somehow all we got to do is make it to the midterms, that's liberal Protestantism again. The Democrats will save you. Really? The temptation is, let's just get through a few more months, and then we can go back to normal. We have to say goodbye to that. We have to say goodbye to that. James Martin, Father James Martin, this Jesuit, guy who's got this wonderful bald head, keeps it clean shaven, has a wonderful sense of humor, was interviewed in the New York Times last week. There's just a couple little, I just want to read like this wonderful little quote from it. The interviewer, Lulu Garcia-Navarro, says, it's interesting because while there's an increasing secularization, we're seeing this growing desire, especially among young people, for connection and for faith. The numbers of Gen Z Catholics is actually increasing, right? That's what, according to a recent study, Harvard study, what do you think is going on? And this is the response. Yeah, I see different surveys saying different things, but anecdotally, I experience that people in their 20s and even younger are going back to church. Someone described it to me as post-secular, which I like, that the secular world is just lacking for them. They want a sense of meaning. I think the challenge is to invite these people who might be looking primarily for an identity into a deeper relationship with Jesus and with God. So it can't just be me and my community. The questions have to be, are you helping the poor? Are you doing the hard work of Christianity? Those are the questions we're going to be looking at in Lent. You know, liberal Protestantism didn't ask us to do anything hard. But this moment is asking for faith communities to do something hard. To defend your neighbor. To be willing to put yourself in harm's way. To be willing to give up this privilege that we have for the good of other people. We are all right now at the top of a high holy place looking over. And there's a voice saying, just jump. It'll all be okay. And we just have 10 seconds of silent reflection. And with that, may I ask you to find your little slips of paper? And if you would like to share a prayer, remember that the wooden bowl will be the ones that will be read in community. The ones that put in the singing bowl will be kept private. And please remember to write legibly. Carolyn is sick today, so if we can remember Carolyn in your prayers this morning.
On the southwest corner of Lake Street in Lindale is the largest ice out sign ever. Very cool.
May I meet the challenge whether I am able to rise or not. Do not look away. Stay in love fiercely.
Beautiful words today, beautiful music, singing. Thank you for so much to be reminded of and so much to think about.
God, may I remember you are with me. May courage overcome my fear.
Thankful for all who bear witness.
Thankful for the prayers from Pottstown, Pennsylvania, and around the world that support us in our struggle in our beloved hometown.
God, grant me the serenity to accept those things I cannot change, the courage to change those things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
So grateful for the joy and light Alyssa Lynn, a daughter of an immigrant, and Brandy Carlisle gave us this week.
I am thankful for the Judson community and all who have helped me. I got the news on Monday that I don't have any treatment for 3 months. Yay, Eileen.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. Please pray for Jasmine and Darren, who lost their 2- and 3-year-old sons in a house fire. Oh, jeez.
May love, kindness, and true justice for all be the law and the norm here and throughout the world.
Resist evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it.
For the courage to keep resisting and the wisdom to pace ourselves for a marathon, not a sprint.
Dear God, thank you for the courage of this community. I just also ask if we could keep in our prayers Deb Donnelly, Carol Bratton, and Craig Weister. Keep those in your prayers this week. And let us lift these prayers up that we have in the bowl. For our call to offering, I just want to give a report from last week. And what a beautiful Jazz Sunday it was last week. So thank you all for the wonderful jazz music, wonderful, great stuff that happened. It was a beautiful thing. We took up an offering for the choral community at Shaw University. We took up $700. That'll go in reparations for Shaw University. So thank you for that, and thank you for continued generosity. Our offertory hymn, She Was a Loving Mother, which you'll find in the bulletin. y'all can have a seat, please. Look at you all singing the Amen, even though it wasn't even in the bulletin. Way to go. Hey, a few things to lift up today. We just want to say, one, Moral Mondays tomorrow, 4:30, 5:30. Thanks, Keith, for starting that weeks ago. Barbara and Shar, I love your pictures every Monday of showing that you all are out there. I appreciate it very much. Hasn't it been wonderful to see this go from a primarily Judson to a primarily neighborhood thing? So thank you much for that. This Sunday, next Sunday, March 1st, is Kate, the Songs and Stories. So Kate, we are up around, we have the capacity, the max is 500. And we are almost there. So if you have not signed up, you have probably till the end of the day today to do that. So what that's going to mean, we are going to need people on Sunday after church. We're going to have to transform this place to have every chair we have available to put in the back, to fill up every crevice, every spot, everything we have to do. That we're going to be doing that. That'll be coming up. I need to tell you that there are tamales that we have as a treat afterwards. And we want to thank everybody who was here to clean up yesterday, that took time to be here and clean up. Thank you so much for all of that. It was great stuff that's going on there. Thank you all very much for that. So, and now I receive this blessing. No, we got to go. We have to. Yeah. Okay. There are no tamales. Yeah, today. They're tomorrow for Moral Monday. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. Thank you for that, yeah. 30 seconds? That's all we got? Yeah, okay.
I need your help. The massage therapists of the state of Minnesota are going to be impacted with a bill that's going through. I'm going to be testifying tomorrow. If you go to a massage therapist or are a massage therapist, you need to talk to me today. Thank you.
US 2, Canada 1.
Oh, is that final? Wow. I'm not going to announce that because some people may be taping it. Yeah, so yeah.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Jim. It's been beautiful. Thank you all very much for that. Receive this benediction now.
Brothers and sisters, know in your marrow that there is no promise of protection. There's only the promise of presence. And as you leave, you know in your loins that the creator of the universe is not against you, but is for you. That the Christ is here promising, I will never forsake you. That the Spirit is here as your advocate, always. This exoskeleton of a skin that we have will only protect you in the ways that you are vulnerable enough to love others. For you are forgiven, loved, and freed. And you are charged, no matter how scary it is, to love this world into a new existence. So go, brothers, sisters, siblings, as the new creations that God is calling you to be. Amen.